Ethan Miller stepped onto the crowded city bus with his 6-year-old son Noah, holding his small hand firmly as they searched for space among backpacks, coats, and tired bodies. He moved with practiced calm, guiding Noah to a seat near the middle, where he could keep an eye on him and the aisle at the same time. The bus doors hissed shut, and the vehicle lurched forward, swaying slightly as it merged into traffic. Ethan adjusted Noah on the seat beside him, instinctively protective, his posture relaxed but alert, shaped by years of doing everything alone. The air inside the bus felt heavy, saturated with the quiet exhaustion of people coming home from long days. Faces were fixed on phone screens or windows, expressions blank, guarded, distant. No one spoke unless necessary. A man sighed loudly near the back. A woman tightened her grip on a pole as the bus braked. Ethan noticed these things without judgment, the way someone does when they've learned to observe rather than engage. He felt the familiar sense of being present yet invisible, just another commuter blending into the moving crowd. Noah leaned against his side, swinging his legs slightly, humming under his breath. Ethan smiled faintly at the sound, grateful for the small comfort of routine. This bus ride was part of their everyday life now. School pickup, a stop for groceries, then home. Predictable, safe, ordinary. Ethan liked ordinary. After years of unexpected turns, ordinary felt like stability, like control. He believed moments that changed everything announced themselves loudly, not quietly like this. As the bus rolled through downtown streets, Ethan's eyes drifted across the passengers out of habit. He noticed how people avoided looking directly at one another, how brief glances were quickly redirected. There was an unspoken agreement to mind one's own business, to stay enclosed in personal bubbles. Ethan respected that boundary. He had learned long ago that drawing attention invited questions, and questions invited explanations he didn't always want to give. The city outside blurred past the windows in muted colors, concrete, storefront lights, passing cars. Reflections layered over reality, faces merging with the streets beyond the glass. Ethan felt suspended between places, between responsibilities, between who he was and who he used to be. He rested his hand on Noah's shoulder, grounding himself in the present. Nothing felt urgent, nothing felt significant. It was just another ride home. The bus slowed at a red light, rocking gently as passengers shifted their weight. Someone coughed. A notification chimed from a phone. Ethan adjusted his jacket and exhaled slowly, unaware that this quiet moment was already unraveling into something else. The atmosphere, though calm on the surface, carried an undercurrent he couldn't yet name, like pressure building before a storm no one expects. He had no sense that this ordinary scene was setting a trap, that its very normalcy would sharpen what was about to happen. If someone had told him this ride would stay with him long after the day ended, he would have dismissed the idea. Life didn't work that way, he thought. Moments passed, days blended together, people forgot. And yet, as the bus approached the next stop, the stillness began to feel fragile, as if one small interruption could fracture it completely. Ethan watched the doors as they prepared to open, still calm, still unaware. His focus remained on Noah, on getting them home safely, on nothing more than the routine he trusted. The bus hissed to a stop, and in that instant, the normal day quietly ended, even if no one inside realized it yet. The bus doors opened with a sharp hiss, and a teenage girl stepped on, her presence cutting through the heavy air of the crowded vehicle. Her name was Lily, though no one knew that yet. She wore a dark hoodie, the hood pulled low over her head, a small backpack slung over one shoulder. But it wasn't her clothes or her posture that caught attention. It was the scar that ran down the left side of her face, long, uneven, and jagged. It wasn't something anyone could ignore, yet no one seemed willing to acknowledge it either. The scar was a statement in itself, something both visible and invisible, like an unspoken truth everyone could see but didn't dare address. Conversations around her immediately faltered. A woman in the front row stilled, eyes darting sideways. A man near the back shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Others glanced away too quickly, like children caught staring at something they weren't supposed to. The tension rippled outward, palpable, hanging like a weight on the already dense air. Lily, unaware of the silent judgment, stood at the threshold of the bus, scanning the rows of occupied seats. She clutched her backpack tighter, fingers tightening around the straps as if they could provide some protection, though they couldn't. Lily's eyes flicked across the aisle, the hesitation in her movements telling a story of its own. She didn't rush to take a seat. Her body language spoke of years spent navigating these small, quiet rejections. Years of walking into rooms and feeling the subtle but unmistakable shift in energy as soon as people saw her face. She had learned long ago not to expect much from others, to prepare herself for the awkwardness, the discomfort. It was easier that way. But still, she searched for somewhere to sit, something to make the moment less excruciating. The longer Lily stood there, the more she felt the weight of eyes avoiding hers. She had grown used to it, the way people would rather pretend she wasn't there than acknowledge her presence. Her heart beat a little faster now, not from fear, but from the weariness of it all. She'd been dealing with this for so long, the looks, the whispers, the shame that followed her wherever she went. It was like an invisible wall between her and the world, a wall she couldn't tear down no matter how hard she tried. As the bus moved on, the seat next to Ethan remained empty, though he hadn't noticed her yet. His eyes were on Noah as usual. Lily's gaze fell on him, but she didn't see a safe space. She saw a father with his son, a world of comfort and normalcy. He didn't seem like the kind of person who'd be interested in offering her a seat. People like Ethan weren't bothered by her, not in the same way the others were. They simply ignored her. She had learned to accept that. A voice in her head told her to keep moving, to find another seat where she wouldn't feel the stares so sharply. But the bus was packed, and there was no place else to go. The moment stretched, holding its breath, the air thick with tension. She could feel the weight of each silent person around her, and yet no one moved to make room. The world kept turning, indifferent. Lily wasn't invisible, but she might as well have been. Finally, she made the decision to approach the seat next to Ethan. She didn't look at him directly, afraid that if she did, she'd see the judgment in his eyes, just like everyone else. Instead, she focused on the small, empty space beside him. She hesitated only for a moment before she asked softly, "Is this seat taken?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, a question wrapped in fear. It wasn't just about the seat, it was about how much she was willing to risk in that instant. To ask, to expose herself once more to the possibility of rejection. The bus fell into a brief silence, the question hanging in the air. Lily's eyes darted nervously to the side, watching Ethan as he shifted in his seat. No one moved, no one spoke, but everyone noticed. The tension hung there, thick and uncomfortable, as if waiting for something to snap. Lily's voice barely rises above the hum of the engine when she asks the question. It's simple, almost fragile, yet it cuts through the bus like a blade. "Is this seat taken?" The words hang in the air longer than they should. Conversations stop completely now. Even the rattling of the bus feels quieter. People who had been pretending not to notice suddenly become very aware of what's happening. Some lean back slightly, others straighten in their seats. Everyone is listening, though no one wants to admit it. Ethan looks up, finally seeing her clearly. Not just the scar, but the way her shoulders are tense, the way she's prepared for a no before he even speaks. He recognizes that posture instantly. It's the same one he carried years ago after his wife passed, when people looked at him with pity instead of warmth. For a split second, Memories surface, being judged without words, being reduced to a single detail. He doesn't speak yet, and that pause makes the moment even heavier. Around them, assumptions begin to form. A man across the aisle folds his arms, already convinced of how this will go. A woman near the window glances at her phone, pretending she isn't watching. Someone exhales sharply, as if bracing for discomfort. The unspoken rule is clear. Say no politely, avoid a scene, keep things moving. Lily feels the weight of those expectations pressing down on her chest. She wishes she had never asked. Noah senses it too. He stops swinging his legs and looks up at his father's face, searching for cues. He doesn't fully understand what's happening, but he understands tension. He understands when adults get quiet in a way that means something important is about to happen. His small hand grips Ethan's sleeve, grounding him. That simple touch pulls Ethan fully into the present, away from hesitation. Lily's eyes flicker toward the floor. She's already preparing herself to step back, to apologize, to move down the aisle and stand the rest of the ride. She has done this before, many times. Each experience teaches her to ask less, to expect less, to disappear faster. The silence feels endless now, stretching into something almost cruel. Every second without an answer confirms her worst expectations. Ethan finally shifts in his seat. The movement draws immediate attention. A few people tense, as if the outcome has already been decided. Lily swallows hard. Her fingers tighten around her backpack straps until her knuckles pale. She doesn't look at his face anymore. She can't. This is the moment where hope usually gets corrected. What no one notices is the way Ethan's expression changes, not with discomfort, but with clarity. The question hasn't annoyed him. It hasn't inconvenienced him. It has reminded him of something essential, something he tries to teach Noah without ever saying it out loud, that people are more than the thing others see first, that decency is often quiet, but never accidental. The bus remains frozen, suspended between expectation and outcome. Everyone is waiting for Ethan's response, though few are ready to reflect on what it might say about them. Lily stands there, vulnerable and exposed, unaware that the next few seconds will challenge not just her assumptions, but everyone else's too. Ethan doesn't answer Lily's question right away. Instead, he slowly rises from his seat. The motion is unhurried, deliberate, and instantly misread. A subtle wave moves through the bus. Raised eyebrows, tightened jaws, quiet confirmation of what people assumed would happen. Someone near the back clicks their tongue softly. A woman grips her purse closer. The unspoken conclusion spreads fast. He's making space to leave, to distance himself, to protect his child from discomfort. Lily feels her chest tighten. She knew better than to hope. For a brief second, the moment feels worse than rejection. Ethan's standing seems to confirm every silent fear Lily carried onto that bus. Her face warms, not from shame, but from exhaustion. She shifts her weight, ready to step away before anyone has to say anything else. This part is familiar. The quiet withdrawal, the invisible exit. Even Noah senses the shift, his small body tensing as he looks around at the adults suddenly so alert. Ethan, however, isn't finished. He doesn't move away. He steps slightly to the side instead, positioning himself closer to Noah. Then, with a calm, almost casual motion, he turns back toward Lily and gently gestures toward the now empty seat. No words, no explanations. Just an open hand and steady eye contact that carries no judgment, no hesitation, no performance. The meaning is unmistakable. The seat is hers. The effect is immediate and unsettling. The bus, which moments ago buzzed with silent assumptions, goes still. People who were certain of the outcome suddenly feel exposed, like they've been caught finishing a sentence that never got spoken aloud. A man across the aisle shifts uncomfortably. Someone exhales too loudly. The narrative they had written in their heads collapses in an instant. Lily freezes, unsure if she's understood correctly. She looks at the seat, then at Ethan, then back at the seat again. No one has ever offered her something so simply, without pity or spectacle. The lack of commentary confuses her more than cruelty ever did. Slowly, cautiously, she steps forward and sits down, her movements careful, as if the moment might disappear if she moves too fast. Ethan remains standing, one hand resting lightly on the pole, the other near Noah's shoulder. He doesn't look around for approval. He doesn't look at Lily again. He treats the exchange as complete. Ordinary, finished. That, more than anything else, unsettles the people watching. There is no dramatic pause, no moral announcement, just a quiet decision made visible. Noah looks up at his father, then at Lily, then back at his dad. His expression is curious, thoughtful. He doesn't ask questions yet, but something is being learned in real time. The bus begins moving again, the engine humming, life resuming as if nothing extraordinary happened, except everyone knows it did. What shocks them isn't that Ethan gave up his seat. It's how effortlessly he did it. No discomfort, no apology, no justification. In that calm gesture, he rewrote the moment for everyone present, forcing them to confront how easily they had chosen the wrong expectation, and how quietly it could have been different. Lily pauses for a fraction of a second before sitting down, as if she's afraid the offer might vanish if she moves too quickly. When she finally lowers herself into the seat, her movements are careful, restrained. She keeps her shoulders slightly hunched, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She doesn't smile yet, she doesn't relax. She waits for something else to happen. An explanation, a comment, a correction. But nothing comes. Ethan remains standing, steady and quiet, as if this outcome was always obvious to him. That silence is heavier than any reaction could have been. Ethan doesn't clear his throat. He doesn't reassure her. He doesn't even look back. There's no attempt to frame his action as kindness or sacrifice. By refusing to narrate the moment, he removes any chance for it to become about him. What's left is raw and unavoidable. The bus continues forward, but the emotional weight lingers, pressing against every passenger who witnessed the exchange. Noah breaks the stillness without even realizing it. He looks at Lily and smiles, an easy, open smile that carries no curiosity about her scar, no hesitation, no fear of doing the wrong thing. He swings his legs slightly and offers a quiet hi, as natural as breathing. The simplicity of it lands harder than anything else. Lily glances at him, startled, then nods back. For the first time since boarding, her posture loosens just a little. Around them, discomfort spreads. A woman 2 rows ahead stares out the window, jaw tight. A man nearby shifts his bag from one knee to the other, avoiding the scene he can't unsee. A few passengers sneak glances at Lily now, not with curiosity, but with something closer to reflection. The silence has turned inward. Everyone is replaying their own first instinct, measuring it against what just happened. Lily feels it too. The tension she carried onto the bus doesn't disappear, but it changes shape. It becomes quieter, less sharp. She isn't being watched anymore, she's simply there. That difference is unfamiliar. Her breathing slows, her fingers unclench from the backpack straps. She keeps her gaze forward, not because she's afraid to look around, but because she no longer feels the need to scan for threats. Ethan stands calmly beside Noah, his presence grounded and unremarkable. He isn't bracing for confrontation or praise. He's simply existing in the choice he made. In doing so, he denies everyone else the comfort of dismissing the moment as extraordinary. It forces them to confront a more unsettling idea, that decency doesn't require courage or explanation, only intention. The bus rattles over uneven pavement, the city moving on as it always does. Outside, people walk. Cars stop and go, life remains indifferent. Inside, however, something subtle has shifted. The earlier tension hasn't vanished, but it has been replaced by awareness. No one speaks, no one laughs. The silence now carries understanding. Lily sits quietly, her eyes fixed ahead, unaware that she has become the center of a lesson no one expected to learn today. Ethan watches the road ahead of them, one hand steady on the pole, the other resting near his son. Nothing more is done, nothing more is said. And somehow, that makes everything resonate even deeper. Noah doesn't sense that he's crossing any boundary. He simply turns slightly in his seat, legs still swinging, and asks Lily what grade she's in. His voice is light, curious, completely free of calculation. The question lands gently, without weight. Lily blinks, surprised, as if she needs a moment to remember how to answer something so ordinary. "Ninth," she says after a pause, her voice careful but steady. Noah nods, like this is the most normal thing in the world. He follows up immediately, talking about his school, his teacher who talks too much, and how Fridays are the best because they sometimes watch cartoons in class. His words tumble out without fear of saying the wrong thing. Lily listens, at first unsure where to put her eyes, then she looks at him, really looks. There's no trace of discomfort on his face, no curiosity about her scar, just interest in her answers. She responds cautiously, short sentences at first. She mentions liking art class, drawing during lunch when it's too loud. Noah reacts with enthusiasm, telling her he can't draw at all but wants to learn someday. As the conversation unfolds, something in Lily's posture shifts. Her shoulders drop, her back presses more naturally against the seat. The guarded stiffness she arrived with begins to loosen piece by piece. Ethan watches quietly, standing just beside them. He doesn't interrupt or steer the exchange. He lets it unfold naturally, trusting the space he's created. Every so often he offers a small nod or a soft smile when Noah looks up at him, seeking silent approval. Ethan's presence is steady, reassuring without being intrusive, a reminder that this moment is safe. Other passengers notice the change too. The scar that once dominated the room now fades into the background, no longer the defining feature of the scene. Lily laughs softly at something Noah says, the sound surprising even herself. It's not loud or dramatic, but it's real. The kind of laugh that slips out before you have time to stop it. For Lily, this is unfamiliar territory, being spoken to without explanation, without caution, without that careful distance people usually keep. She feels seen for who she is in this moment, not what happened to her once. The relief is subtle but profound, settling deep in her chest like a long-held breath finally released. The bus continues its route, but the emotional atmosphere has shifted completely. What began as tension now feels almost gentle. A few passengers glance over, not with discomfort but with softened expressions. Acceptance hasn't been announced or demanded. It's simply being practiced, quietly, right in front of them. Ethan looks out the window briefly, the city sliding past in blurred shapes. He knows moments like this matter more than lectures ever could. Noah keeps talking, Lily keeps answering, and something fragile but powerful takes shape between them. It's not dramatic. It doesn't need to be. It's proof that once the barrier is broken, connection follows naturally. The shift is subtle at first, almost easy to miss. A woman seated near the front glances back toward Lily and offers a small, hesitant smile. It's not dramatic or apologetic, just human. Lily notices it from the corner of her eye and hesitates, then nods back. That tiny exchange carries more weight than it should. It signals a change in the room, like a crack in a wall that had been standing for far too long. A few minutes later, the bus slows at another stop. A man who had been standing nearby adjusts his grip on the rail, then quietly steps aside to create more space. He doesn't announce it. He doesn't look at Lily directly. He simply makes room. The gesture feels intentional, learned. as if something clicked moments earlier and he's still catching up to it. The tension that once clung to the aisle begins to dissolve. People sit differently now. Shoulders relax. The stiffness that defined the earlier moments fades into something softer, more reflective. No one is pretending not to see Lily anymore, but they aren't staring either. She exists among them, not apart from them. That distinction matters. It changes the air itself, making it easier to breathe. Ethan notices all of this without turning his head. He senses the shift the way you sense a storm passing, through pressure, not sound. Still, he doesn't react. He doesn't scan the bus for validation or acknowledgement. His attention stays where it always has, grounded in Noah's presence and the quiet responsibility of being there for his child. Noah continues talking, unaware that something larger is unfolding around him. His voice blends into the rhythm of the bus, part of the ordinary noise of life. Lily listens, occasionally responding, her confidence growing with each sentence. She no longer speaks like someone asking permission to exist. She speaks like someone who belongs in the moment. Around them, passengers are thinking, not about Ethan, but about themselves, about the instinct they felt earlier, about how quickly they judged, how easily they stepped back instead of forward. No one is called out, yet no one escapes the reflection. That's what makes it uncomfortable and effective. The absence of confrontation is what lingers most. No raised voices, no speeches, no moral correction, just a quiet example that made everything else feel unnecessary. The realization settles slowly. Change didn't arrive because someone demanded it. It arrived because someone acted without hesitation. As the bus continues forward, the moment becomes part of its movement, absorbed into the ride. Ethan remains standing, steady and anonymous. Lily sits a little taller. Noah laughs softly, and the space they share now feels altered, reshaped by a single choice that proved how powerful example can be when it's left to speak for itself. The bus slows as it approaches Lily's stop. She gathers her backpack, movements calmer now, more assured. For a moment she hesitates, then turns slightly toward Ethan. Her voice is low, almost private, as if she doesn't want to draw attention to the exchange. "Thank you," she says. It's not dramatic or emotional, just sincere. Ethan meets her eyes briefly and nods. "Take care," he replies. Two simple words, spoken without weight or ceremony. That's it. No follow-up, no reassurance, no explanation. He doesn't tell her she's brave. He doesn't comment on her scar. He doesn't frame the moment as kindness. And that's what unsettles the room the most. The interaction ends the way any ordinary one would, stripped of symbolism. Lily steps off the bus, not as someone who was rescued, but as someone who was simply acknowledged. As the doors close behind her, a strange quiet settles in. The bus pulls away, but the energy inside doesn't return to what it was before. Passengers stare ahead, out windows, at nothing in particular. What they just witnessed refuses to resolve neatly. There's no emotional release, no clear ending. Just the echo of something simple that feels heavier the longer it's left unspoken. For Lily, the moment lingers differently. She walks away with a steadier pace, shoulders back, chin lifted just a bit higher. Nothing about her life has magically changed, yet something fundamental has shifted. She was treated as ordinary, and that ordinary kindness carries more power than sympathy ever could. It's something she'll remember long after the ride fades from memory. Ethan sits back down beside Noah as the bus continues. Noah leans against him, already distracted by something outside. Ethan rests his arm lightly around his son, his expression unchanged. He doesn't reflect on what happened. He doesn't replay it. For him, the moment is complete, filed away with countless other quiet choices that never felt remarkable enough to analyze. Around them, others are left with no such closure. They replay their own stillness, their silence, their choice to wait instead of act. No one told them they were wrong, yet the discomfort suggests they know it. The absence of judgment makes the realization sharper. There was space to do something. Someone did. They didn't. The shock isn't rooted in sacrifice or bravery. It's rooted in ease. Ethan didn't struggle with the decision. He didn't overcome fear. He simply acted as if Lily belonged there, as if the question never should have been difficult to answer. That simplicity exposes how unnecessary the earlier tension really was. The bus moves forward, carrying its passengers toward separate lives, but the moment stays behind, lodged quietly in thought. There is no applause, no resolution, just a lingering question that follows them long after the ride ends. How many times had they been given the same chance and chosen silence instead?